Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in our third session of our Limitless Mentoring Conference. I hope you have been enjoying all our previous sessions and getting to know how to make it with all of our other industry leaders. Of course, you should be experts in how we run these things by now, but yeah, so welcome to How to Make It as a Founder. Those who haven't joined for one of my panels before, I'm Louise. I'm the mentoring lead here at the Female Factor, and I'll be asking all the wonderful questions of our amazing industry experts and founders, Renata, who is the CEO and co-founder of SameBug, and Bernadette, who is the CEO of InstaHelp. So welcome, ladies. Welcome to this session. So again, just our housekeeping. You should know the rules by now. These sessions are recorded. Have your camera ready if we want to jump in and ask in-person questions. Any technical trouble, talk to Isabella. And of course, Slido. If you're all not across how Slido works by now, you know, I will give you a quick rundown, but you should all be experts. It's our platform for asking questions. So you can submit any of your questions for Renata and Bernadette. And also we'll be using that to kind of ask a few questions of you to kind of get an idea of your background, where you're joining us from, and the kind of areas you want to hear more advice about. So head across to Slido, enter the code Female Factor, and select our How to Make It as a Founder room. So moving on from there, I would like to kind of ask Renata, we'll start with you. Can you give us a quick background on what you're doing now and your journey to that?
Yeah, so hi everyone. It's exciting to be here. Although I don't see everyone, but I hope you see me and hear me okay. So just quickly, my name is Renata. Just call me Renny. I'm a mother of 3. I founded SameBug in 2003 with my husband and with another co-founder. And we wanted to help developers to develop software faster and painlessly. And we did SameBug until 2019 when we sold it to a San Francisco-based company called 𝗺𝗶𝗺. And we sold it because we wanted to, we had the same vision. By that time, there were 8 people in the company. We were venture-backed, mostly in Europe, but we had some angel investors from the States. And since we joined, I took the position of head of customer success at 𝗺𝗺. And when I started, it was myself and 2 other people in technical support. Currently, it's 7 of us, and we have 4 more headcounts this year. And I think I just can continue my entrepreneurial journey because this was something was not existing at the company, and I got to create it and mold it and improve it. So that was exciting. As for my background, I have an MBA in finance. I also have an economics degree. I'm an avid reader. I'm highly organized, and my motto is let's move forward, and that's very important to me. Progress in general, both in whatever around me and internally, how I process things and how I look at the world. So every year when it's over, if I changed and things changed around me, then I consider that a good year.
Great, welcome Renny. Thank you for your quick background. Okay, Bernadette, over to you.
Yes, hi, I'm Bernadette, CEO of InstaHelp, and InstaHelp is doing psychological counseling online. So we really care about how you are doing, and you can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you? And that is actually the question that we care most about. Our vision is actually to enhance mental health. We know that every 3rd person is suffering from mental health problems. We often say we're doing fine, but in reality, we have dozens of things in our minds, and sometimes our heart hurts, sometimes our mind is full, and so sometimes we just need help. And this is where we step in. We were founded in November 2015 from the exit of a former startup. And yes, and then we actually created a room for emotions. And we became Startup of the Year 2019 by, at the 𝗺𝗵 Festival, awarded by Sebastian Kurz, Federal Minister of Austria, who told our team that we changed the world a little bit to the better. And yes, and so I'm really happy to be here. And I think we went through a lot of ups and downs as well, as every founder, and how to make it as a founder. I think the future will tell us. I don't know, Renata, but I think the journey is ongoing. But I'm looking forward to this discussion.
That sounds great. Thank you. It sounds like a really great initiative, and I'm both of you. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. I just want to now kind of get to know where everyone's joining us from. Something we've been doing in all our other panels to just kind of get an idea where our participants are joining us from. So if you pop across to Slido, we have our Slido now live. Yeah, figure out where are you from. Pop across. I'll share my screen so we can kind of get an idea of where are we joining you from. You're both based in Vienna, correct?
I'm in Budapest.
Oh, you're in Budapest. Sorry.
That's okay. Close.
And we're in Graz, in Styria.
Oh, you're in Styria. Okay, so that's perfect. So we're not all Vienna based. It's good to know. Okay, so where are you all joining us from today? Oh, Ecuador. Okay. Berlin. Hi, Sarah from Berlin. We have a few people from Vienna, from Florida. Hey everyone, Brazil, Vorarlberg. Wow, we are really all scattered this evening. This is really, really great. I'm loving to hear where everyone's from. So this is really great. We're kind of going to move across and kind of figure out what everyone's kind of expectations from the session, kind of get to know what people are kind of interested in, where they're coming from. So kind of going to ask you again in Slido to kind of ask, why are you joining us here today? What brings you here? Are you already a founder yourself? Are you looking to found the company? Here we go. Look, people, or are you just curious? So hop across, let us know, let Rennie know, let Bernadette know. Who is our audience at the moment? I realize I've got sun kind of streaming right in my face. Apologize, I can't get quite back. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so it looks like we have a lot of people who are interested in founding their own enterprise, which is really, really great. I hope you guys can think about lots of tips for those who want to get started. And there's a few who are founders themselves. So, okay, hopefully we can kind of balance our things, our answers and things about based on that. Okay, thanks everyone. I'm going to now pop across to Slido again. If you haven't used Slido before, we use this to ask you questions. Please pop them in there, and we will bring them across. We'll ask. Well, I'll make sure we get Rennie and Bernadette to answer them. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to, while we were asking and submitting all your questions, I'm going to kick off with the kind of classic one. What is the #1 challenge you faced as a founder? Maybe it might be hard to narrow it down to just one, but let's start with one. But so start with you, Rennie.
I think for me, always is the balancing act between being a mother, a wife, and an ambitious woman who wants to do something that's noteworthy and something that's above its current capabilities. That's for one. And the other one is being a perfectionist. And I think that makes it harder to balance all three, because you just want to give your 100%, and that means 300, so you can't. And so dividing the 100% is really hard when you require 100% in each. So I think that was my #1 challenge, and it still is.
Do you have any strategies on dealing with this and how you get this balance?
No.
No.
I think no. I think it's I'm just conscious about it. Like I know, you know, I'm a perfectionist. I know I can't make it, and then I think what helps me when I see that my kids doing great and they amazing adults and or like young adults and they behave well, then I'm like, okay, 30% was enough. And when I do something good at work, I kind of like, okay, maybe the 100 doesn't need it. And so, or maybe it just takes longer to get somewhere where other people might have 100% to spend. And so those moments when I realized that even with that, you can make a difference, I think those really helping me. And the other thing, I just managed to live with the guilt that comes with feeling that you're not good enough in anything. So I think that's the piece of it.
Oh, we're sure you were doing an amazing job. Otherwise, we wouldn't have invited you to chat today. So I can assure you from everyone and everyone else who needs to do it, you're doing enough. You're doing an amazing job. Sometimes we don't tell ourselves enough that we are doing a great job, and it's often nice to hear.
Yes, that's true. But we give Bernadette a good work.
Yeah.
We give enough work for you.
Yes, again, probably you probably have a lot to comment on that, but yeah, we'll get back to your #1 challenge and how you deal with it.
Yeah, I have to say, when I heard you talking, Renate, it really touched me because I think I'm in the same. I think we just meet, so we just found our first similarity. I'm also mom of 2 little boys, and I love them so much. I also love 𝗵𝗀𝗿𝗲 very much, and a lot of other things.
Kind of like your third baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, true. And as you said, actually, we want to change things. Yeah, we want to make things grow. Is it a business? Is it kids? You know, you want to make something positive. And I think I would perceive myself as a very energetic person. I have a lot of energy, a lot to give. But sometimes I also, the word that you said, guilt, I also feel that sometimes, the feeling like I want to do all the things as good as I can. And then there is this time. I mean, the hardest challenge is that the day has 24 hours. And every day has 24 hours. So putting everything together, and then at the same point also maybe finding a little bit of time for maybe being a woman or being, you know, the Bernadette I am as a person. That's sometimes not so easy to also to stretch that in. And the second thing that I would say is a big challenge for me is staying focused. I always see a lot of things that I would like to do, a lot of opportunities. Is it with the business, or is it how the world is evolving and what we can do? And there are so many things that we can do, so many good little things. And sometimes it's hard to make the decision to say no to certain endeavors by then focusing on specific points to make them progress well. And that is for me still challenging. I get very passionate about things, and then holding me back and staying focused is a challenge.
Yeah. Any tips on how to stay focused, or what you try and do to maintain your focus?
I personally do really, we have, for instance, for the business, I do it with annual plans, and then I have quarterly plans, and I really try to think about what are the big things that bring us forward. And I always try to allocate a certain specific amount of time for things that I personally like to do, you know, and these things can be things like this conference today. And so, you know, for instance, female entrepreneurship is something that is really on the top of my agenda. I'm also researching in this area. I like to do the research in this area. I'm lecturing in this area. So, you know, this thing is yeah, just to keep some space for that as well planned. And in business, I try to really stay focused and do these OKRs and plan ahead. That helps me staying focused.
Okay, good tips. Okay, we're going to move across to some of our awesome Slido questions. We also have like a really lot of good comments coming through that they're really enjoying your kind of brutal honesty and appreciating the kind of connection you have and struggles you have as working mums and mums trying to do the best for their kids and for their business. So you're really hitting the right chord with our participants at the moment. So maybe we can talk about that a bit more in the session, but kind of, yeah, getting across to our Slido questions. How do you select your like one idea to kind of pursue and target? How do you focus on like a single idea as a founder?
I don't think it's a single idea. I would say it's a vision. I think you have to be very clear what your vision is, and then everything you do, activities that you set in order to reach that mission, that there you should stay also flexible, because the market changes, especially as a startup. You always work in a very dynamic sphere. So I think that's also a point where you need to be proactive, but you also need to stay flexible. But I think the vision has to be clear. You need to know what you're doing and what your end point is. For instance, we with InstaHelp, we want to increase mental health by making access to professional help easy. So whatever we do, we think if that goes aligned with the vision, and if it does not, then it's also a good project, but we are not doing it. Yeah. Okay,
good point. Renee, do you have any thoughts on that? How to?
Yeah, I think I'm in a bit of a unique situation in a sense that the business wasn't based on my idea. So it was my husband's idea. And then because I had skills and capabilities that he didn't, we just made a good pair. But the vision has always been his, and my vision was how can we make that vision happen and what leads us closer to that one. But in general, today, if I have an idea, I think it's really important that I have to look at the big picture and how that fits in. And then you have to be able to let go or keep it. And I think it applies to your own company as well as, you know, a larger company that I'm at. You now really have to select of what will get you to the greater one today. And I think it's always that prioritization and selection.
Good point. Good to know. Focus on the vision, and then prioritize as well. Okay, going across, we've got lots of questions coming in. At what stage of development should I start to approach clients or partners to introduce them to my idea?
I would say at an early stage. I don't know how you see that, Renate.
I think it's the same. Yeah.
As early as possible.
As early as possible. Maybe you don't put your top-notch client on the first thing, but you always need to talk with customers when you develop your product, because otherwise you become very subjective. And I think you have to go out of the market as quick as possible and just lean test things, A/B tests, or just test in a small sphere and then see how people respond, and then grow it or develop the idea further. I think you shouldn't be too hesitant to think about the perfect product, the perfect thing, and then put it out of the market, because it will never be. And I mean, it depends, of course, what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, general infrastructures and stuff that must work, and legal frameworks and whatever. But in general, I would say the Pareto principle is not bad in that sense, and to involve customers at a very early point to hear their view.
Renee, do you have any thoughts as well?
Yeah, I think I share the same. I think one caveat to that, I think you have to understand like what stage you're at, and then who to approach. I'm really into sharing very early. sharing with as many people as you can, because you learn from all the feedbacks. So it's kind of, sometimes it's a reality check, sometimes it gives you ideas to go. So I'm big on sharing, but I also big on share with the level you at. So probably if you in a very early stage, it's nice to talk to a friend or like somebody at the large company. But I mean, it takes for a large company probably will be a very late customer unless they have like an incubator program where they specifically take you in, and then you can develop that under their wings. But do share it, and feedback's good.
How early in the ideas for both of your projects did you start approaching companies? Just for an example, how early? I mean, you say early, but can you give us an example from your experience? How early?
I mean, we had a big vision, and we still have the vision, and it's like 7 years past. There's another company that worked on the same vision, and we not close. But when we had like an MVP that something shows, that we showed it to people, and we even had to pivot from the MVP.
Okay, cool. What about you, Bernadette? How early did you start approaching people, sharing your idea, going to the market?
Yeah, well, InstaHelp is a marketplace. So I would say the first months was like half a year was really building up this platform to make the technical infrastructure, to make secure conversations online with psychologists. Then we had to have the whole infrastructure of quality management with a quality board with the first psychologists, and I think it were 5 psychologists working for us in Austria in the beginning. And and now we have nearly 130 psychologists working for us, and in 5 different countries. So we also then stepped in very early into new markets. And yes, and I would say after 1 year, we also approached, first of all, only B2C clients. And then after 1 year, we also approached B2B clients, you know, for their,
Okay, good to know. I hope that's useful feedback to everyone, that to get in early, get started, approach your companies and clients, and just get out there early. Moving across, next question from Linda. Thank you, Linda. Do you have any tips and tricks for networking online or in real life?
That's a hard topic for me, because I'm a person who likes to connect deeply. So I'm not good at small talks. I'm not good at superficial conversation just because I want something from that person. I think one of the best story, when we started Zenebug, we had somebody who consulted and helped us, and he said, if you want to be at the board, you need someone from a prestigious university, normally, with experience with large corporation in your space, or thought leaders in that space. And so there was this set of things you should have for the board. And I'm like, okay, I can't just go to people because they like that. And so as we were going ahead with our startup, we were this event and that event, and we took part in this piece. And then there was a natural chemistry working with people that I connected more deeply. And then based on that, we built a board and an advisory board. And when I looked at it at the end of the day, I could take the prestigious university, the experience in the field, but it was all because I connected with them, not because they had that stuff. So networking is hard for me. Every time I hear like you have to mingle and network, it's really, it doesn't do any good. I'm not going to do it. But I mean, you have to have some skills to if you dare, do it. But I like connecting in a deeper level, and something if we have common, not just because that person can deliver something for me. And I've been successful too, so I don't believe the 1,000 is good.
That's really, really great to know, because I know a lot of people are not that extroverted and find it deeply uncomfortable to just make this small talk with people in the hope that they can somehow help them. I know I find it personally really awkward, and again, I prefer things to develop more naturally, and develop these kind of deeper connections. And it's good to know that you can still succeed. It's almost a different type of networking. It's not just trying to get as many contacts as quickly as possible, so to speak. But yeah, it's good to know that there are different approaches to networking, not just the idle small talk to kind of get as many contacts as possible. So that's really, really great advice. Bernadette, do you have any thoughts on how to expand your network and how to utilize your network and how to network?
Yeah, I would say that I would have at this point a very different perspective as regards networking. Personally, I strongly believe in strong networks, and I also think that I think that females or women need to network more, and we need to kind of support us more and talk more about what we do and how we can help each other, and also ask for help. It doesn't mean that we are weak just because we ask somebody if they could help us getting an intro somewhere, or if they can help us maybe giving a feedback to something. So I have a very different perspective on that. I have a personal coach, of course, with Insta. And actually she told me that it's very important for women to network, and that we are sometimes too hesitant to, for instance, recommend a person to somebody else. You know, we have in our network people who search for a job, and we know people who have a job. And then I had the impression sometimes I was reluctant of recommending this person to the other person. But now I realized it's always great, you know, to get these ties together, and then things can evolve or not. That's, you know, out of my hands, but it's always good to make connections. And I think that's the way how we work. We work together, and I believe that we have to hold together, and it's always a give and take, of course. And it has not always a commercial aspect behind it. It is, I think it's also a very community character and something very social to do. So I would actually perceive it as something very positive.
Okay, yeah, no, it's good. It's good to hear the different opinions, because different opinions, people, different personalities, different approaches. And again, it's ultimately about finding what works for you. But it definitely, we are hearing that networking is important, and we should embrace it a bit more and kind of try and remove this hesitancy, whether we want to develop these deeper connections for it, or work harder to recommend and connect people. So this is some really, really, really good points and really interesting perspectives you're both offering here. So thank you.
There's a comment I really liked. Is a friend of mine once mentioned, the only mistake in networking is not to network. Everything else will come to you.
Very good point. Thank you, Sigrid, for sharing that. Yes, it's a really, really great point. This is kind of in the same vein as networking, but more about approaching people to work with. So what is a good way to approach people who I think are relevant for my business, but I don't know yet?
Find someone who does and get an introduction.
Okay, short and sharp. I like it. Bernadette, any thoughts?
Simply approach directly and say that why you approach the person, and ask if the person has a minute time. Okay,
good to know. What else? Let's see what other questions, people. What are we jumping in with now? Actually, I'm going to throw it over to our poll. I want to kind of get an idea of what our audience would like to hear a bit more about with you guys. So I'm kind of I have a poll that's in Slido. Let me just see what we've got here. Sorry, I'm trying to do many things at once. So I'm kind of going to ask people whether they want to hear more about your challenges, more about your success stories, or more about general career advice in terms of founding a business. So I'm going to put that live now. So if everyone wants to pop across to Slido and see, let Bernadette and Rennie know what you'd like to hear a bit more about, and we can kind of focus our questions that way. So, okay, anyone else want a few more seconds? Pop your responses in. Okay. Anyone else want to pop a response in? Otherwise, I'll call it now. So we're kind of focusing a bit more on career advice. So ladies, if you can think a bit more about how to develop as a founder, how to kind of work better in this career, in this kind of industry. So okay, I'm going to kind of stop sharing and maybe see what kind of questions are popping up relating to that. So this is a good one in a similar vein. What are the essential steps to take in order to build a solid foundation and so your business can progress in the right direction? So what are your steps to make a really good foundation for your business? Rennie, do you want to start?
Yeah, so one, I think you do have to understand business in a sense of what it makes to set up a company, run a company, have an accountant, have a legal help. So kind of just know that environment, what it means to run a business. I think one of the advice everybody gives, and I agree, it's hire slow and fire fast. And the third one to me is trust. So you need people. I think being a lonely founder is hard. You need someone at least. So having two people, that's I think it's very important. There is a lot of research shows that two people can help you never down at the same time, and you have different opinions. So like that's more, you have different look on the same thing. But I think trust is so fundamental because funding a business, growing and running, it's so challenging. You question yourself so many times, you question your ideas, you question if, you know, so many times it requires lost opportunities in terms of like career years that you can spend on something else, financially, in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of questions that comes. So I think you really need people you trust, at least in the core team, and who will, you know, believe in what you're doing and then believe in you, basically. I think that's key.
That's really, really good advice, having really good trust there as a foundation in your business. Bernadette, any what's your advice? What things do we need to have a really solid foundation for our business?
I would say the first point would be yourself. I eagerly believe that you have to be set, you know, your mindset has to be on point in order to take up this journey. Because personally, I think that working in a startup is wonderful for many aspects, but at the same time, it usually lasts quite a long time until you have positive replies from the market, from outside, maybe even from your families. So it takes a long time until you get positive feedback. So what you need until then, I think, is having the right mindset. And I think that should be the starting point before you start foundations of the business. I think you have to set the foundations of your person. And I'm actually also researching in the area of entrepreneurship a lot. And if you look, what are the 3 key competencies that you need to develop in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, there is always kind of 3 points. And I think that should be points where you can work on also is, and I think the most prominent one, if you see research, is within among women, is especially risk averse. We are risk averse people. Depending on the country we live in, it depends a little bit. Yeah, so Austria is very risk averse. We have a lot of ladies from Vienna here.
Definitely something I've experienced since moving to Vienna, that they're very, Austrians are very risk adverse.
Yes, and I think, but when you work in such a setting, you have to be able to cope with risks and with uncertainty, and that feels very uncomfortable often. And I think so working on this is very important. Another point is also the innovativeness. You cannot stand still, you know, it's not, you're in a roller coaster, you have to move forward, and you always have to be quicker and faster. And that's why we can find a niche, as Renata also said, you know, we were also InstaHelp our first mover in a market, but just being the first mover is not enough. You have to move forward.
You got to keep moving,
keep on moving. And Yeah, and the third thing is proactiveness. I think when you're an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you proactively set the steps in your company and to move forward. Nobody's going to tell you what to do and when to do it and how to do it. So the positive thing is that you can create a lot. You can decide which path you take, how this path is going to look like, and how fast you're going to walk this path. But at the same time, it's your responsibility to also do that, to make sure you make the first step and to make sure you pace the whole company in the right pace. You know, if you go too quick, it's not good. If you go too slow, it's not good either. So I think along these lines, that will be the first thing that you have to develop your own good mindset and all endurance in order to set good foundations for your company step by step. And I think there's good reading material what you need in order to set up a company. Yeah. But I think the mindset is something we often don't talk about, and that is critical in order to succeed.
Can I reflect on that? I really like how we're different. I really enjoyed it. So for example, I didn't get into this like funding SYNVOG with the right mindset at all. It was just the next natural step to do to like support my husband. I always imagined a career at the corporate world, but that's what he wanted to do. I was off with the kids for so long, so it kind of seemed like a good thing to do. What made me going through with it is the dedication I have to a single thing that I get myself into. But if somebody tells me that's what it is, I wouldn't get into it. So I mean, I wouldn't ready for sure, but I'm more of like, I have this thing, like if we're in it, you make the most of it and you adjust. But I definitely didn't know what I'm getting myself into.
Fair enough. I mean, this is great. This has been absolutely fantastic having you both here with quite differing experiences and opinions, because this is what's great, because the more opinions, the more we can hope to connect with people, because sometimes they don't often identify with one response, and it's good to have alternatives to try and different perspectives. I mean, this is how we learn and how we develop, and you find what ends up working for you from hearing all these really, really diverse experiences. We probably have time for like one or two more quick questions before we have to start wrapping this up. Oh my God, we're almost over. I can't believe it. Time has gone really, really too quickly today. So I'm just going to ask what Alyssa has said. How do you get comfortable with promoting yourself and your venture? Renata, do you want to?
I think in a sense it's easy because you believe in it. So I never felt like promoting. I felt like something I'm talking about that I'm passionate, like, and I don't think myself as a salesperson, but if it's something I truly believe and truly think it's good, I have no problem talking about it. I have no problem going around and telling you this is the best thing in your life. So I think it comes naturally if it's really yours and then you really believe in.
Okay, Bernadette.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me it's super easy to talk about InstaHealth. It's not so easy and convenient to talk about myself, but sometimes that goes ahead. That goes hand in hand, you know, because people like to have a story and they like to see people behind this story and who is working here and there. So it goes often hand in hand. But it's easier to promote the business, and I think that is actually quite easy. And you have to do that all the time, because as a startup, nobody knows your company. So every scenery, or how to say, every stage that you get, you should use that stage and talk about what you're doing.
Really, really good points. Now, just one final question before we wrap this up. I just want from both of you, what is your last tip? What is your last tip you can offer our wonderful participants who are hoping to be founders or are founders themselves? What is the number one tip you can offer as a founder to those wanting to found the company? What is your number one tip? Bernadette.
Number one, just do it. I think you just have to do it. Things evolve, things change. Don't think about it too much. Nothing has to be perfect. Just do it, and then you see how much you can do, much more than you.
Okay, good. I like it. I like that attitude. Just do it. That's how I ended up moving to Vienna. Just do it. And Rennie, what is your thoughts? What is your final number one tip to offer out?
Well, we could have said together. I think if you think about it and it's something that you feel it's important, please do it and try. And then even trying is a success, because then at the end of the life, you look back and you won't regret that you didn't try. So I think it's, try. If it succeeds, amazing. If it's has an ending in a different way, then what? You build. I mean, I learned so much out of the journey that I would not switch it for anything else. And I not change it, so I don't regret doing it. So if it's in there and it keeps being in there, like just try.
Awesome. These are really, really great words to end on. So I'm sorry we have to wrap up our session. Thank you to all our participants and our wonderful, wonderful questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them today. I'm sure Renata and Bernadette will be happy if you reach out to them for your quick questions. I'm sure they'll try and answer what they can in the time they have. If they are willing to hang around a little bit longer, feel free to reach out to them. This kind of wraps up our sessions for today at the Limitless Mentoring Conference. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you're going to stay a little bit longer, because we have some wonderful entertainment coming up, and then some just, again, networking sessions. So good ways to kind of practice all these teachings that we've learned today from Rennie and Bernadette. So big thank you, Rennie. Thank you so much for joining us. Bernadette, thank you so much for joining us. Our wonderful participants, thank you so much for all your wonderful questions. And yes, enjoy the rest of the evening.